Welcome to NoCast by CMUBS, Chiang Mai University Business School, your trusted space for insightful conversations that connect academic research with real-world impact. Here, we bring knowledge to life, exploring ideas, innovations, and inspirations from scholars, students, and professionals across Thailand and beyond. Each episode dives into thought-provoking topics in business, management, and social studies, turning complex research into stories you can relate to and learn from. Whether you're a student, a researcher, or simply someone who loves to learn, NoCast by CMUBS invites you to listen, think, and grow with us. Let's discover new perspectives together, because knowledge is more than information. It's the power to inspire change. You're now listening to NoCast by CMUBS, Chiang Mai University Business School.
All right, let's get into this story about global business, big promises, and a character you might not expect, a hidden partner who really changes the entire plot. So think about it. You've got these huge multinational companies, right? And they all have these shiny corporate policies promising to be good for people and the planet. But then, on the flip side, you hear these awful stories of local communities losing everything. So what's going on in that gap between the promise and that painful reality? Well, it all kicks off with this really big promise, and it's all wrapped up in 3 little letters, CSR. That's corporate social responsibility. And this is meant to be the public, ethical face of a modern global business. So what even is CSR, really? You can think of it as a company's official rule book for being a good citizen. It's their public pledge to follow the rules, to stick to global standards, and to manage their impact on society. And, it's become this super high-profile, very visible part of how these companies want you to see them. It's supposed to be their brand's moral compass. But that shiny promise, it often runs headfirst into a pretty brutal reality on the ground, especially in developing markets all across Asia. And that reality is something called commercial land grabbing. We're talking about huge pieces of land getting bought up, and it often leads to local people whose families might have lived there for generations, being forced out. The fallout from this can be just devastating. It destroys communities, traditions, and can make rural poverty so much worse. And, whenever we hear about this stuff, the story usually sounds pretty simple. There's one obvious bad guy, the big, faceless multinational corporation that just swoops in and takes what it wants. But what if that story is missing a massive piece of the puzzle? This is where the whole narrative takes a really sharp turn, because to understand what's really going on, you have to look for a hidden partner in the deal. See, here's the thing. In a lot of countries, like Myanmar, where this research was focused, foreign companies aren't legally allowed to own land. So to do anything, build a hotel, a factory, you name it, they have to partner up with a local company. This setup is called an international joint venture, or an IJV. And this isn't a choice. It's the only way they can operate. And this quote from a manager who is actually inside one of these deals, it says everything. The local partner is the hands, eyes, and ears on the ground. They're the ones who know the local rules, the culture, and, this is the crucial part, they're the ones actually acquiring the land. Their role isn't just helpful, it is absolutely pivotal. So, if the local partner is the one on the ground, maybe even doing the dirty work, then what does the big multinational company actually know? What's their role? Well, the research found that it breaks down into 4 really distinct patterns of engagement. And as you can see here, a multinational's involvement isn't black and white at all. It can range all the way from obliviousness, where they have basically no idea what's happening, to collusion, where they know exactly what's going on and are actively involved. So let's break these 4 down. Okay, first up is obliviousness. This is the scenario where the global company is basically kept in the dark. They just take their local partner's word for it, that the land is empty and ready to go. But what's fascinating is that this ignorance is often very carefully constructed by the local partner. I mean, listen to this quote. It's wild. This is a former board member from a local partner, and he's admitting that they would literally hide any sign that people were living on the land just to show their foreign partners that, hey, this is now cleared and we are now ready. They'd even manipulate photos and reports, all to create this state of obliviousness. Okay, next up we have two much darker patterns, and really two sides of the same coin. You've got collusion and the blind eye approach. Now, in both cases, the multinational company knows there's a problem. The huge difference is what they do about it. With collusion, they actively help. With the blind eye approach, they just passively look away. So with active collusion, the big motivator is just speed. As this manager put it, the foreign company pretty much wanted to believe the people on the land were squatters because their number one goal was just starting the project fast. So they'd work behind the scenes, right alongside their local partner to get the land cleared. Now, the blind eye approach, that's a bit different. This is all about avoiding bad press, about reputational risk. The multinational knows there's a land dispute, but they practice what you could call deliberate non-involvement. This quote nails it. Their attitude was basically, hey, just do whatever you have to do. We don't need to know the details. We won't ask any questions. It's plausible deniability as a corporate strategy. And finally, you have the on-brand pattern. This is actually when the multinational steps up and tries to make sure the project aligns with its own global CSR policies. What's interesting is that this usually happens in more urban areas, where the local communities are better organized and can actually create negative publicity. That threat of getting their brand dragged through the mud forces them to do the right thing, to make sure people get fair compensation and help relocating. So, okay, we've got these four patterns: obliviousness, collusion, blind eye, and on-brand. But why is it so important to understand these differences? I mean, why not just blame the big company and call it a day? Well, because the reality is just so much more complicated than that. A lot of the time, it's the local partner's actions that are the most direct cause of harm. And just pointing the finger at the multinational lets that local partner completely off the hook. What this really shows is that a global brand's presence is a kind of double-edged sword. Its pressure can make things a lot worse, or it can actually be a force for good. And what that means is that true corporate responsibility isn't about some glossy policy document. It's about doing the hard, messy work of deeply investigating a partner's history before you ever sign a deal. And all of this leaves us with a really tough final question. In this globalized world that's built on all these complex partnerships, where does a company's responsibility really begin, and where does it end? And is not knowing ever a good enough excuse when people's lives are literally on the line? That's definitely something to think about.
Thank you for listening to NoCast by CMUBS, Chiang Mai University Business School. We hope today's episode inspired you to see knowledge in a new light, as something you can use, share, and grow with. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our channel for more conversations that bridge ideas, innovation, and impact. You can also connect with us on social media to stay updated on upcoming episodes and research insights from CMUBS. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep discovering, because every idea has the power to make a difference. This is NoCast by CMUBS, signing off with knowledge that inspires change.